You're about to see an interview with the amazing Amber Lawrence, who is a six-time Golden Guitar winner and one of the best live performers in Australia today. I would really love it if you could like this video and subscribe to the Summer Country Music channel. It helps this channel grow, which means more people start to know about our wonderful Australian country music artists and all the interviews I do with them and the other things I cover here. So please like, please subscribe. Thank you very much. Amber Lawrence has released seven studio albums and three children's albums, winning six Golden Guitars and being nominated for two ARIA Awards, amongst other accolades. She is one of Australia's busiest and best live artists, and she'll also be the host of this year's Deni Ute Muster. And she has a new single, Comeback Queens. There's always something going on in Amber's world, so I have a lot to ask her about. Hello, Amber.
Hi.
It's great to see you. I saw you most recently with your Vivid Suffer Club, which was such a great night. And I was thinking, I hope Amber curates her own festival one day. But
Mm,
we'll,
great.
we'll leave that idea with you and actually go straight to Comeback Queens, which is your
Yes.
new song. And it is about recapturing the fun and freedom of younger years. Was
Yeah.
there one particular thing or memory that sparked the song?
Oh, that is a good question, actually. One particular memory. Not really, but I have a group of four school friends, and we went to high school year 12 together, and we're still really good friends. And they're the people I have in my mind when I wrote this song because whenever we get together, and some of us have got kids, some of us don't, some of us are divorced, some are married, some are single, whenever we get together, though, we are our 18-year-old, 19-year-old selves, and we are embarrassingly idiotic, I would call it. Uh, which I love. And whether it's at someone's house or whether we actually take it public to a bar, we are on that dance floor doing the same silly, like repeating the year 12 choreographed dance that we knew for the year 12 speech night. So, and then the next morning, of course, our heads are aching and potentially, we've done injury, in doing the splits or something. And we'll just sort of refer to each other as legends, comeback queens. You did it, you made it back for one night. So they're the people I thought of because, yeah, we catch up every maybe 6 months in that kind of fashion, and we still give it a good go.
And Pineapple Cruises get a mention in the song. So I'm guessing there may be some of that too.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, the drinks that I think I remember too, obviously West Coast coolers we put into the song. And then there was a drink that totally reminds me of year 12 and, schoolies week. It was the Sub Zero, which doesn't exist anymore. Thank goodness.
Yes, I have a memory of Sub-Zero. Not that I actually drank it, but I remember seeing it advertised.
Yeah,
Now, you
that's right.
wrote the song with Melanie Dyer, with whom
Mm-hmm.
you wrote Bring It Back, which is on your 2022 album, Living for the Highlights. Obviously, you enjoy writing with Mel.
Yeah, she's great. I mean, she's a great writer, full stop, and a great artist. But in terms of working with me, I think she understands who I am as an artist. So co-writing can really be hit or miss, and especially if you want, like, you can co-write a song and you'll get a song, great. But if you want a song that's going to go on your album or be released as a single, I tend to find I need to pick my co-writers carefully, and I do tend to go to Mel a fair bit because she sort of listens. She knows, she's seen my career. She's been there the whole, almost, even though she's young. She's so young when she started. She probably has seen my 20-year career. So she knows the kind of things I want to say. So we generally do have success when I head into a session with her with an idea. I pretty much always go with an idea, and it's an idea that I think this would be a Mel sort of song. So,
Mm.
and I don't think we've written a song that I haven't recorded, so it's pretty high strike rate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now you mentioned your 20-year career and you did celebrate that a little while ago. And that was, I think you were marking the 20 years since you first performed in
Yeah,
Tamworth. You were in
yeah.
the Telstra Road to Discovery
Mm-hmm.
competition. Uh, it just, doesn't seem like it could be 20 years. And I think that's because you're useful in terms of your energy, but also you just keep getting better and you
Yeah.
have more energy. So I'm wondering if you actually like feel like it's 20 years or if you feel like you're constantly renewing.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's 20 years. I feel embarrassed to say 20 years because it does feel like, oh my goodness, that is long. Yeah, the energy and excitement is pretty consistently growing, and I still love what I do, and I still see like a lot in the future. I don't feel like, oh, it's 20 years, so now I'll just rest on my laurels and that's it. I see hopefully more songs, more collaborations, more touring, better touring. And I do see my numbers growing. My tickets are still growing, and I love that. And yeah, it's great that country music is also now sort of got that. cool resurgence too. So, you know, it's nice to see some of that filtering down too.
And you had a song, you can admit that you like country music, and I have a t-shirt for that song. And I was timed. I remember when it came out, I thought very well timed, Em, because you probably would have written it quite a bit before that, but the release
um,
was good.
well, actually, no. I think that, to be honest, that song was another song, and I was never going to release that in the other version because I just didn't like it. But I loved the sort of some elements of it, so I rewrote it only just before I'd recorded it into the current theme of "You Can Admit You Like Country Music" because I thought this is funny. Everyone's coming out of the closet. We can admit it now.
Yeah. I have a number of people who say to me, oh, so you like that Luke Combs? I'm like, no, I only listen to Australian country music artists, but as far as
Awesome.
they're concerned, that's country
Mm.
music. I'm like, no, there's a lot more going on.
Yeah, and look, that is actually a little bit frustrating in some regards because, like, you see the crowds that go to the Luke Combs concerts, you know, 2 stadiums worth in Sydney or
Yeah.
something like that, and you go, wow, yet some of these, majority of those people haven't even heard of our major artists, the Australian artists. So
Mhm.
I don't know where the disconnect is and how that even happens, but yeah, I wish I knew the answer to that, but you know, keep
Well,
going.
my shorthand answer is cultural imperialism, and that's a phrase I toss around quite a lot because it's, yeah, radio. We could go on a whole digression about quotas and things that are necessary, but I know from seeing you live in particular and other artists that the standard of live
Mm-hmm.
music from Australian artists is super high, and I do wish
Mm-hmm.
more people would go and see it. But I am digressing, and I want to come back to
Digress.
Comeback Queens because you made a music video for it with Jeremy Minette, who is quite
Yeah.
busy making
Yes.
videos, and it looks like it was as much fun making it as the experiences you've described with your friends.
Yes, yes. Well, I tried to recreate that, and so firstly, it's I've done like so many videos, like 25 videos or something or more, that I'm past the stage of them being like a novelty and fun. You know, it's like, come on, let's get this done. Like hair and makeup. Oh yeah, I like the way it makes me look, but I don't like sitting there for 2 hours. You know, and finding all the outfits. Like there's quite a lot of work that goes into a video, finding the location and then getting
Mhm.
the extras. So this one we choreographed a dance. So a lot of parts had to come together. And firstly, I went to Facebook and asked for people to volunteer to be in the video clip, and we got
Oh.
lots of volunteers. And then I put it on Instagram, and then one of the mums from school, so my son's in year 1, and we have a really nice group of mums that I've become friends with, obviously through the kids and their birthday parties. And one of the mums said, "Oh, this looks fun," and I said, "Well, come along." And then all of a sudden, word of mouth spread, and I think I had 12 school mums in it as well, and they certainly brought out their inner comeback queen. And you know, so many of them, so many mums, I think, have done dancing when they were
Oh, I get to do a choreographed dance again. And then the kicker was that I said, look, the drinks are on me. Like you're not getting paid, but you can go and order anything at the bar. And I've got pizza coming at 8 o'clock. And all you have to do is look like you're having a good time. So it was a very easy video clip for the extras. And you know, for me, obviously, I just had to sing the song over and over and over and over and do the dance. So it was quite fun. But Jeremy, he worked so quickly that it was a 4-hour video shoot, which is so quick. And that's the way I like them.
Well, and there were a lot of people in it, a lot of extras. So very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both of you wrangling that many people, I would suggest.
Yeah, I know, especially when we're giving them free bourbons and
Yeah, well, and I would guess, yeah, given that you are great at maintaining your social media
Mm.
connections with your fans, that obviously is the best way for you to find extras.
Yeah, yeah. It was so nice though. Like there were some women that came and, you know, they'd traveled. One girl drove up from Victoria. She just wanted the experience, you
Oh,
know.
wow.
Few ladies drove 3 to 4 hours to be in it. Said, oh, I just want to see what a video clip's like. I want to be in your video. And, you know, one of the school mums said it was a bucket list item for her. You know, she used to dance as a teenager and now she's in a video that she was able to show. You know, she's an accountant and she showed it at her work. You know, what did you do on the weekend? Kind of wrap around the room.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, this is what I did. Look, there's me. So it's, yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, obviously video clip, you go, oh, I've got to do another video, but I take myself back to the first one. I was so excited, first few videos. So I know that anyone that wants to be an extra sort of feels like that because it is still exciting. So it was great to have all of the volunteers.
Now, the song was produced by Stuart Stewart and Ingrid Oram, and Stuart Stewart is your longtime producer. So obviously,
Yeah.
there's something about him that makes him the right producer for you, and I'd like to know what that is.
Yeah. I think just the energy. It's a fine balance of pop country. I don't actually pop's the wrong word for me. I'd say contemporary country. So he sort of tapped into that, which no one really had done before. I'd been sort of maybe going a little more, I don't know. I don't even know what the style would have been on previous albums, but when we found that sound on Spark, that real contemporary sound, that's when the songs started to connect a lot more. So yeah, that's what he does great. And he's also a good judge of a song. And, you know, I send him all the songs and he just writes back which ones he likes. He doesn't say it's, I mean, obviously by elimination, he tells you which ones he doesn't like, but he doesn't point it out. So you feel, you know, embarrassed. He just like, oh, this is a great song. We should record this. And this one's a great one. You go, but what about that? Oh, you didn't mention that one? Oh, okay.
Which could be quite a tough editorial process, I imagine, because, you know, they're all your creation.
Yeah. I mean, deep down, you often know when a song's not great, but then sometimes you get it wrong as well. Sometimes, so I think it's always good to put all your songs in, because sometimes a song that you go, oh, I can't stand this song, it's terrible, you know, but I gave it to you anyway. They'll come back with, yep, so that's the one that we've got to record.
Right.
So yeah.
Are
It's
there any
interesting.
particular songs you'd like to dob in for being like that?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Like the song Superhero, which is from my superhero album. Yeah.
That is so interesting, because I'm sure that for a lot of your fans, that is on their
Yeah,
10 list of your songs. Yeah.
I know, exactly. And I just wasn't even going to record it. I wasn't even going to send it to the producer. So I think sometimes too, it's sort of wrapped up in how you wrote it. Maybe sometimes if you didn't enjoy the process, you've sort of tainted the song by that. So maybe that happened with Superhero, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's a song that I won my first golden guitar with and is still a song that people like. So yeah, we're not actually, I'm a terrible judge, because the same thing happened with our backyard, actually.
Travis Collins and I, we both sort of wrote that song and just went, oh yeah, whatever. No idea. We just drove home.
It was like, I think 4 weeks later or more that Travis went, oh, I listened to that song again. You know, I think it's got potential. So
And it's got a massive amount of streams for anyone who's not aware. So it
yeah,
absolutely had potential.
yeah,
And your songs have been streamed collectively over 6 million times. And I have
yeah.
sometimes think, for artists like you with a big number like that, does it seem almost surreal? Like, oh, how do I wrap my head around 6 million?
Yeah, look, it's all amazing stuff that you get these stats and you go, wow, for a small artist without major marketing and major label support, you go, wow, this is cool. And like the other day, you know, you get your streaming reports, and you can admit you like country music. One of the stats was it's had 1,000 all-time Shazams. So that's 1,000 people that have gone, what's this song? And Shazammed it. And I think that's a pretty cool stat.
Yeah, that is actually.
Yeah.
Because in the olden days, if you
Oh,
had the
God.
Shazam app, you then had to go and, you know, separately find that
Yeah.
song. But now I think it links you all the way through.
It does. But yeah, you know, like people, they must be shopping in Woolies or something and hear it and go, wonder what that song is.
Yes, because that's something I realized a little while ago, is that for some of our local artists, being played in a shopping, well, not a shopping center, in a Woolies or a Coles
Yeah.
is actually a real thing and a real avenue for your music.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's all collectively, you know, the stuff that adds up. There's nothing in isolation that sort of makes anything happen. It's like if people sort of hear it enough, see it on TikTok, hear it in the shopping mall, hear it on the radio, see it on Facebook, YouTube, then the pieces of the puzzle come together.
Yeah. Yes, TikTok, you were a great adopter of during the pandemic. And and
Yeah.
in fact, I've taken inspiration from you on TikTok to try and make my own content.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
a
you're
success.
great. You do a great job.
Thank you, but I'm still looking at your TikTok going, I think I can improve. But as you like to say in one of your shows, and just thinking about the streaming numbers, the song Big Mac Truck is one of your biggest hits, and it is a children's song, but you also tend to reveal that it's not really children who sent it to the top of the streaming charts.
Yes. And that song was 2016, so coming up to 10 years, and I can't believe it, you know, I still tell the story and still sing it. But it did go viral due to truck drivers, and like just so many truck drivers love that song, but then there's also an equal amount that have a problem with it because it's about a Mack truck, you know, and truck drivers are so territorial. So I get lots of messages, people saying, wish it was about a Kenworth, or, you know, write it about this kind of truck, or, but, you know, it's just sort of a song that, because it's, oh, people love trucks. Like, that's the one thing I've learned. People really love trucks. I think artists have proven, Jane Denham and Travis
Yep.
Sinclair, that you can write a whole album about trucks and truck songs, and it will work.
Well, Amber, that may be ahead of you. And I did have to laugh because I was looking at a comment on the Comeback Queens video, and the tone of it seemed to be, and I sort of clicked through to the guy who'd left it. The tone of the comment was along the lines of, why don't you have another truck song?
Oh, really? Oh my God. I'll have to go read that comment.
He didn't say it directly, but going through his profile, I was like, okay, you like trucks. That's why you've
Right.
made
Oh,
on this video. It's like you're wanting her to make a truck song. Anyway, so
Oh,
Big
gosh,
Mac
that's
truck,
funny.
the influence lingers.
Yeah.
Now you have recorded Comeback Queens and other music that you've been doing in and around touring, and you have had quite a tour schedule over the past few months, if not years, because every time I check your schedule to see if you're coming back to
Yeah.
Sydney, it's like, oh my
Yeah.
shit, everywhere. So
Yeah.
clearly you love touring.
Yeah, I do. Well, it's sort of necessary though. I mean, like, I suppose I'm in a lucky position that I have enough of a fan base that I can sort of go to lots of different towns and, you know, make enough money to make the tour worthwhile. And sometimes I lose money. That's certainly true. But I also think, like, that's the way you make your career. Even though I think people can make it through TikTok and all of that now, but unless you go viral, like, how do you make a career? It's, you go out and you play the towns, and you just make yourself known. And I've been doing that for a long time now, and yeah, just keep on doing it. And I'm sort of pretty well-oiled machine at how to organize the tour, and, you know, market the tour and drive to the destination and set up and pack down. And yeah, it's hard work, that's for sure. It's exhausting. You do like 18-hour days probably, you know,
Yeah.
with the time you get to bed and drive and all of that, but it's quite fun.
Well, and even though you're an accountant by training, and I know an Excel spreadsheet is not a foreign thing for you,
Yes,
it's
yes.
still a lot of management that would seem to be at odds with the creative part of your life.
Totally, yeah. And so people always ask, oh, do you write songs on the road? And it's like, gosh, no. You know, when you're on the road, you're either driving the car, loading in equipment, maybe getting an afternoon nap in if you can, but like, I mean, I'm the tour manager essentially. Like, we don't have the luxury. Like, if you want to make a living out of music, you need to do a lot of the jobs yourself, because the minute you start outsourcing, there goes a fair bit of your profit. So if we have a tour manager, there goes a big chunk of the profit. So in terms of tour managing, that means I'm sort of making sure the band have got food, things like that, you know. So, and I don't mean I have to go to the shop and buy it for them, but I have to make sure I know where we're going for dinner that night, and you know, where we're stopping for coffee in the morning, and what time we're leaving, and how long it is to the airport. And so there's so much logistical planning. But that is my personality. Like, I'm definitely creative, but I'm certainly a spreadsheet kind of person. So when I get all that chance to do the business side, yeah, I enjoy it.
Well, that it may also mean, therefore, that what you have coming up for the rest of the year in the form of big events is a little more relaxing for you, because you don't have to organize these. So I'm looking at your schedule thinking, oh, actually, now Amber can have a little mental break at least, and turn up at festivals like you have Noosa Alive in July
Yeah.
coming up. Have you
Yeah.
played that before?
No, so can't wait. And Noosa is sort of an area, Sunshine Coast, that I haven't played for ages. So it's great. I mean, Gympie sort of is included in that area, but the coastal part, definitely haven't done a gig there for ages. I'm going to be there for a few days, which is nice. So doing a workshop up there and playing the concert and judging a talent quest. So it's always nice when you can put the suitcase, you know, out for a few days and not have to sort of pack it in the morning and drive to another destination. So Noosa will be great. Yeah, there's a few good ones coming up, a few interesting places.
Including Sunset Bash in Penrith. Now, I saw you, I think it was the very first Sunset Bash, maybe it was 3 years ago. And your set was so high energy that the crowd were on their feet. And I remember watching that as an example of your stagecraft, because it was mid-afternoon, it was cold, and actually it was sort of a point in the afternoon where things started to get really cold, and you just everyone up and it changed the whole energy of the place. And then
Oh,
that flowed through to the rest of the artists who came after you. So I remember thinking, this is, whether you've done it consciously or unconsciously, it was really excellent stagecraft, which is just a comment more than a question.
oh,
It's a big
thank you.
fun event, the Sunset Bash.
Yeah, yeah, can't wait for Sunset Bash. It's such a niche festival in Penrith, and I love the setup of it. You know, the bean bags and all of that kind of stuff, and it's a real sort of cozy kind of festival. Brad Cox headlining this year, but you know, I think just to reflect back on what you said, one of the things I do pride myself on as an artist is never taking what feels like, oh well, look, it's cold and it's mid-afternoon, so I'll just do a mid-afternoon style performance. That's one thing I'll never do. I will do my 8 p.m. Deni Ute Muster main stage slot. I'll do that no matter what time I'm on.
Right.
And you know, like same goes if I do a show and 20 people buy tickets when I was hoping for 200 people. You know, like it's just not fair to go, well, there's only 20 people here. Guys, let's change the whole show and just do something that's real low energy, because it's just not fair to the people that are there. So I feel like you should always go out there and bring what is natural to you, you know, bring the energy, and it sort of pays off.
Well, there was a mosh pit from memory. And I looked around thinking, it's been a while since I've seen one of these. But
Oh,
it was,
yeah.
it was great. It was so much fun, and everyone was on a bit of a high. And speaking of the Deni Ute Muster, you are the host of this year's Deni Ute Muster, which
Yeah.
takes place on the 3rd and 4th of October. What is
Yeah.
involved in hosting as opposed to performing?
Well, just really introducing the acts on each stage and being able to kill time if need be, being able to talk off the top of your head
Right.
and engage the audience. You know, that kind of like next act coming on, bring the crowd to the front of the stage, so it's not as hard work for the act. And I feel like sometimes some artists would never want to be MC. They don't like that kind of thing, but I do. And I think I understand as an artist what you want from an MC, you know, like you want them to just get the crowd warm and feeling good, but you don't want that whole read out a bio, you know, you just don't need that. You just need them to know who's coming on next and what's on after that, and, you know, where they can get a beer from or a popcorn or a corn on the cob. And so I think that's my job, and I'll be also part of the blue singlet world record attempt.
Oh, I actually didn't know about this. So
Yeah.
do you have to BYO blue singlet?
I think you can buy them there. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I have got my own. And yeah, it's such a great event. Like the Deni Ute Muster it's actually getting bigger and better every year. They're growing the offering. You know, this year they've got the Wiggles because they realize families are so important now to these festivals. You know, I think what's happened is these 18, 19-year-old ute goers are now turned into 30, 40-year-olds, and they've got their kids and they've been coming since they were 19, 20. They don't want to stop coming, but now they've got to bring the kids. So the festivals are sort of expanding for that. So, yeah, so I'll just be sort of around and planning to hopefully sneak in a little pop-up few songs somewhere, just because I know I'll be like, when are you playing? I'm like, oh, I'm not. And then I'll just be like, okay, tomorrow, 2:00. Wink, wink.
Because it would seem a bit odd to have you there and not
Yeah.
playing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So when was your first ever Deni?
It was 2008. I can remember it well. And I've told this story many times. It's sort of part of the business mentoring that I've done, is that, you know, I got booked on the Deni Ute Muster. I remember the fee. It was small, but this is 2008. And I was like a new artist, and there was no way I was going to be able to afford, if I wanted to make any money on that trip, you know, afford to do it unless I was able to do a gig on the way down and a gig on the way back. And then I sold the merchandise out of the boot of my car. And people still tell me about this because I had my first album, The Mile, and people still follow me from that day and said, I bought your first album out of the back of your car at the Deni Ute Muster. You can't sell out of the boot of your car anymore, unfortunately. It's a bit more sophisticated than that. But, you know, I rang all the pubs on the way down, and I got a gig in Young on the way, and then did the Deni Ute Muster, rang pubs on the way back, got a gig in Cootamundra, and, you know, turned that into what would have been a financial sort of hole into probably a break even. And we played
And
the Deni You Muster.
and you made some fans because they still they
Exactly.
still mention it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, I do remember my first Deni very clearly.
So you have come a long way since then, and it does seem to me, as someone who observes your career, that each year gets bigger and better, just in terms of the songs you're releasing, the touring that you're doing. And I'm wondering if you actually are someone who sets goals, like you look ahead and think, okay, this year I want to do this, maybe the year after I've got this plan, or do you really just have the goal of being the best artist you can be, and that's what
Mm.
tends to influence the outcome?
Yeah, a bit of both really. I'm sort of very like I've got a goal, but it's not so set. It's more like you say, I just want to keep continuous improvement, and that leads to the more opportunities. And then I go sideways a lot, in terms of like, oh, that's happening now. I better go that way. And same with my social media, I don't have a solid plan for what I want to do. I just go, oh, what's happening? What happened in my head today? Well, let's go that direction. So always moving forward, but happy to go this way.
Yeah. I think also for you as a live performer, I've seen a change, which is natural as you get deeper and deeper into your career, but you have this balance of being really dynamic, but also being calm and centered, if that makes sense. So I'm
Oh,
wondering if
okay.
it's actually this sense of like you just, you've grown in confidence the more you've done it. And so when you're on stage, you're really present and centered, but you also fly free, for lack of a
Okay. Right. Well, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's sort of like I definitely say to myself a lot now, like if I'm not going to enjoy things now, when am I going to enjoy them? So,
right.
it's sort of not putting that pressure on yourself to be like I don't really get nervous as much now, because it's like, when are you going to trust your instincts? Like, you got to do it now. It's not going to, I'm not that young. It's like, if I was 25, maybe I could have that luxury, but I'm like, geez, you better be enjoying these bits you do on stage, because this is
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Like, even though of course there'll be hopefully great things in the future of performance, and the phone rings and all of a sudden you're opening for whoever. If that doesn't ring, if that doesn't happen either, it's like, you better love this moment at the basement or at Mary's Underground.
Yeah.
This is what you do, like, enjoy it. So yeah, I'm a bit more like that now than I definitely wouldn't have been
And
earlier.
well, it really shows, and I think the audience can tell is a big part of it,
Okay.
because then it's that I always think with live performance, with any piece of art you put into the world, if you essentially declare to the audience you've got it, that you're in charge, the
Yeah.
audience immediately
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, great, I can just relax."
Yeah. Yeah. You don't feel nervous for that person on stage. Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, it definitely shows. So I would imagine that you've been releasing some singles, so I would think that there's more to come, and you're on a trajectory
Yeah.
towards something. So what are your plans for the rest of the year and recorded music, if you can say?
Yeah, it's pretty much all recorded. I'm still, open to writing songs that are better than what I've recorded. But if not, I love what I've got. I've got the direction of the album. I know the theme of where I'm at in this album. I think the songs I've released already, Kick the Doors Down, You Can Admit You Like Country Music, Comeback Queens, are falling into that sort of theme of where I am in my life right now. And yeah, I'm just sort of working on an album title and artwork and a date, which won't be this year. I just can't make it happen this year, because I'm going to Lithuania to do a gig. And I thought, you know what? Enjoy it. Enjoy Lithuania. Don't be planning an album release while you're in Europe. So leave that album release till early next year.
I am so curious as to how a gig in Lithuania comes about. So please tell us.
Yeah, well, just an email. So I'm not sure how they knew about me, but they book different artists, country artists from different countries, not many from Lithuania, England and Ireland and Australia, America, and I was the Australian they approached, and yeah, said yes, let's do it.
Fantastic. Well, safe travels, and
Thank you.
thank you very much for your time and for releasing such great music. I'm sure we'll talk again at some point. Thanks, Em.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Bye.